Areas where we have impact, and we must have the right engineers in the right.
of power that is controlling us. And we believers think that is God, and anybody else would think anything, but we believe there is God. When Kenya Kwanza came to power, you know, they did a very serious Cornish thing to their country, and this is what is biting us. There are members of parliament who, you said you should go back and endear yourself to your electorate. There were members of parliament who came into the August House through, let us say, right, and don't steal it from them, we wouldn't be having this. Nobody would be so dissatisfied. Let me tell you, finance bill is an annual enactment. It's not like it's a mysterious law that has been brought to us. You know, the appropriation bill and the finance bill, they come in every time so that Parliament can approve what the state will spend. So first of all, this appropriation bill, they say, okay, this should be taken to education, this should be taken to water, this should be taken to roads, you know, like that. Then the finance bill comes in because, you know, the elements of tax coming from, you know, the tax laws, you know, corporation tax. These come in now to support what is contained in what? In the appropriation bill. Mm-hmm. The moment the citizens strike out, or rather do not approve, or Parliament, if it were not to approve, then there is no government. This is why you had in Britain one time, they said we are shutting down the government. In Trump's time, you had they shut down the government and allowed only special services, very, very necessary services. Mm-hmm. To be honest, what the people of Kenya have told William Ruto mm-hmm. is that you cannot operate this government. So you'd better shut it down. But of course here, because, I mean, we have a very oratory president, he will come and give this explanation here and there. The only way he can save his image is to ask all these people to go home, let members of parliament who are, you know, elected on a certain ticket, let them stick to their party, and then now we start now negotiating. Now that we have, at least governance-wise, put things where they belong, then now, where do we start?
All right.
Let's fight corruption.
Yes.
And such and such and such and so on and so on.
And because of the interest of time, allow me to give you a minute each as we wrap it up. And Council, of course, you will be answering the question of, we are talking about, this is not about the finance bill. Whatever is happening in the country is not about the finance bill alone. It's a myriad of challenges. So you'll tell us, where do we move after now the bill was returned to sender? All right.
Well, my parting shot to Kenyans is we, the people of Kenya, the young people of Kenya, rejected the finance bill. We put out our grievances, our complaints, and everything out there. We have literally shaken the system and the government and the regime that is in place so that it knows and accepts the voice of the people, and the young people specifically matters when it comes to public accountability. I want to now call upon the clergy, the Muslims, the imams, and the professionals out there, people of goodwill, good countrymen and women, to find an exit strategy into this menace that we're in right now. Because every Kenyan wants to wake up and do business and live a better life. We must bring out the patriotism in us so that we find an exit door to this menace that we are in right now. And it takes all of us, men, women, people in government, people out of government, people in the civil society, people in business sector, to come together and find a way forward for Kenya.
All right, and before I allow the SONU President Rocha Madzayo to have his final remarks, as you can see, those are live pictures from Kangemi, right here in the capital Nairobi, actually a few kilometers from here, from the CBD. I'll be getting a little bit, it looks a little bit busy, but we will be getting a little bit more in regards to that. I can see police are standing by. I see some smoke, but not quite sure. And something must be happening. The reason I'm saying this is because we are not seeing any vehicle using that road, which is usually a very, very busy road. And we can see some smoke billowing from the road. We are not quite sure exactly what is happening there, but we will be getting our reporters who are close by to give us an exact report on what is happening there. We see police standing by, 2 police vehicles, and see the road is clear, 100% clear. Just a few people on motorbikes, and a few people also continuing with their day-to-day activities. President of SONU, Rocha Madzayo, for closing remarks.
Yes, thanks so much for the opportunity. One, I'd like to thank all the Gen Zs first for this moment that we have proved to the nation that we have a voice and that we need to be listened to. And so far so good. We've done much for the nation and have enlightened, because we have all been aware of all these problems for a long time, but we have been quiet and silent because of the fear of the unknown. But I'm glad that we have reached this far, although not yet, but we are still there. Our house is still in a mess. The parliament is rotted, it is dirty, and it is stinking. It is high time that we cleaned it. We clean the government first before we have an agenda, before we have any dialogue. And even to the president and his officials also, we need to see action and no much talk, because for a long time we've talked enough.
All right.
So it's high time we took action and we see him firing and see people resign, so that we can now steer ahead this nation that we love as Kenya.
Thank you. Engineer, 30 seconds, kindly.
Thank you so much. I just want to give one word to the Gen Zs. If you consider yourself a Gen Z, make sure by the next year, when we are celebrating 1 year anniversary of the Gen Z movement, you are a registered voter, you have an ID, so that you can be able to have the right weapons to fight the next battle. Student leaders in the universities, in colleges, right now, take advantage of this opportunity to mobilize your people. Make sure your members are registered voters. They have IDs to be ready for the next phase of your movement. Thank you.
And finally, last but not least, Advocate Ishmael Nyaribo.
Thank you. I think, Bantroy, there is not much we can do with the current bill. Like you were asking if there's anything we can do about it. I wouldn't be the one to advise the president in the wrong direction. I think this should be completely forgotten. But you know that, like we said, this is an annual bill. So they can revisit this after 6 months or so and decide that they now want to reconfirm that all taxes in every other item are removed. And then they show the direction of how they are going to raise revenue from all cuts, cutting on spending, especially what is happening in the executive, and also bring it down to the, judiciary and the National Assembly. But having said that, I think I really concur today with my panelists here that the youngsters should just pick up their voting cards. They should be voters. Come 2027, we don't need to be worried of anything if the masses we are seeing in the street have each a voter, are each registered as voters. But again, we have a challenge that the selection panel has not appointed commissioners, selected commissioners, so that we have a functional IEBC. And I think that's one point that the agency have identified that should be acted upon by the president as soon as today.
All right, and I'm quite sure you agree, but these reports are so many. We had the NADCO, we had the BBI, we had, every time we sit around and talk, but unfortunately little to nothing is done. But away from that, thank you so much for joining us. From my extreme left, we had Ishmael Nyaribo, an advocate of the High Court and also a leadership and governance expert. Just next to him, we have Engineer Crispus Wadhimba, who is a governance and leadership expert as well. Just next to him, we have SONU President Rocha Madzayo, the student leader of Nairobi University, and just next to him, we also have a young member and also a youth leader who is Imran Mohammed. Thank you, gentlemen, for your insight and for making time.
Thank you so much.
My name is Bentro Njoe. Earlier on, we had Lensa Odinga on the sign language interpretation. Now we have Brian Muraru on behalf. Made this broadcast a success. Thank you so much, including my director Mugo Kariuki. We are keeping tabs to know exactly what is happening. Giving the baton to my colleague and friend Khalid Abdullahi, Kurunzi Mashinani, and Tamrini.
Will artificial intelligence revolutionize music streaming platforms like